Hi friends! I'm excited that you're going to be making preemie hats with me, and I just want to show you how to get started. So in this video, I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to remind those of you who don't know yet how to do the German twisted cast on how to do that, because it makes a really nice stretchy beginning for a hat. And then I'm going to show you how to use the magic loop method, which will allow you to make small knitted items like hats, sleeves, and socks. I sent you in your kit a pattern and 2 skeins of this really lovely worsted yarn. I like it because it's so soft. I want you to do your pattern just with 1 strand of worsted weight. I'm going to be working with 2 strands of sport weight. It just so happens that 2 strands of sport weight are roughly equal to 1 strand of worsted. So don't get confused by the fact that I'm using 2 together and you're just going to use 1. Let's talk about your needle. You will have to wait for your brand new needle set from Knit2pearl2 because you're going to need a US 5 or 6 size needle. I knit very loosely continental style, so I always size down, but you can try a size 6 if you want, and that is fine. And then you will need the longest cable that comes with your new needle set to do the magic loop method. Choose the longest cable, even though when you become an expert at magic loop, you can do it with a shorter needle. Let's look for just a second at the pattern that I sent you. Because we're doing preemie sized hats, we are aiming for an 11-inch circumference, 5.5 inches high. So you can sort of measure your work as you go to make sure that you feel like your hat is going to be the right size. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Close enough is good enough. Again, they call for DK baby yarn, but we're going to use worsted. And because of that, where they say cast on 60, change that to 48 stitches. So I want to remind you how to do a German twisted cast on. Remember my trick when you're measuring out your yarn for a long tail cast on to use your forearm for roughly 20 stitches. So I have already casted on almost all the stitches we need for our hat, and I'm going to show you how to cast on the rest in the German twisted cast on. My phone keeps wanting to... Maybe if I lower my hands. Okay, just a reminder that your tail goes over your thumb and your working yarn goes over your finger. Make sure you have that in the right order. And over each finger. So for the German twisted cast on, it's just 1 extra step than a normal long tail cast on. So we're going to go under both pieces on your thumb, through the hole in the middle. We're going to grab the yarn off your pointer finger, and then you see this tiny little triangle here. We're going to pull the yarn through that. Then you'll tighten your stitch. Let me show that to you again. Under both, through the middle, grab it from your finger, and pull through. Sorry, my phone keeps changing where it's focusing. Probably because I'm moving my hands so much. Under both, through the middle, around the finger, through that little tiny triangle. One more time. Under both, through the middle, grab what's on your finger, pull it through that little tiny triangle. Under both, through the middle, grab what's on your finger, through the triangle. One more. Under both, through the middle, around what's on your finger, through the triangle. Now, once you have cast on 48 stitches, and notice that I always cast on with both of my needles, it gives just a nice stretchy edge and makes your first row so much easier to work. So I now am going to just pull out that needle. That top needle. It really doesn't matter which one I pull on, just as long as I can get one of them out. There it goes. Okay, so now I've got both of my needles separate and my stitches all on a needle. Now I need to count half of my stitches. So I need 24 stitches on one needle and 24 stitches on the other. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So there's the middle of my hat. Now I'm just going to separate my stitches. This is why I love Knit Picks needles, because this little piece right here, this cable, is so much more flexible than other needles. So I'm just pulling until I end up with stitches on both my needles. Now I'm going to just double check and make sure that this other side also has, oops, I just lost one off the end. This yarn is so lovely. You're going to love it. After working with Dishy, this will feel really silky. Okay, let me just count the stitches on my other needle to make sure that I have 24. After I was doing the cast on for you, I'm not sure I got the right number. So here we go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I lost count. 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. I think I have 25. Let me count that again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. I think I do have 25. One more time. Yep, I do. So I'm going to drop that needle back off. Now, this is the confusing part of learning magic loop method. The first round is always the hardest round. But once you get your first round finished, the rest is much easier. This is how I want your needles to look when you start. So you're going to have half of your stitches on one needle, half of your stitches on the other needle. Right now, I have my working yarn dangling off of my front needle. So I'm just going to turn my needles because I want that on the back. When you're doing magic loop method, you're always starting every round with your working yarn at the back, on the back needle. The reason why your first round is tricky is because you don't want to spin your stitches. If I did this and started knitting, I would end up with a spiral of knitted material. I have to make sure that my stitches do not spin. So the way that I do that is I just face all the stitches towards the center until I get the first round finished. Basically what you're doing with the magic loop method is you're working in the round with an extra piece that you're going to feed through. So 2 tricks to working in with the magic loop method. Make sure all your stitches are facing the center, and always bring your yarn, your working yarn, over the top of the back needle. If I left it down here and started knitting, I would end up with an extra stitch. Actually, it would be a yarn over on my needle. So that goes at the back. Even though this is going to feel like it's twisting your stitches, it's not. Trust the method. Now you pull the back needle out because that's the needle you're going to work with. So you just pull it out, and then you're going to pretend like you're working with stitches on one needle. So in I go, and I'm just going to stitch. The first round of our hat pattern calls for knit 2, purl 2. So I'm going to just start. Knit 2. This is really hard for me to see, so sorry it's kind of jerky and weird. Purl 2. Knit 2. Remember, when you purl, you put your yarn in front. Purl 2. Knit 2. Purl 2. Knit 2. Purl 2. And you're just going to keep doing this across. And then I'm going to show you what we do when we get to the end of a row. It's the same every time you get to the end. What did I just do? Knit 2. Now I need one more purl. And I need more yarn.